So usually every year I'll do a top 10 movies I saw of the year on December 31st. This year I've been sick, so it's a little bit of a delay. I'm still sick, but I did come up with a top 10 list and I wanted to share it. So I'm just going to do real quick, give a little context for every movie, and by starting with 10, which would be Deadpool and Wolverine. It's been a pretty crappy year for superhero movies, but Deadpool and Wolverine, it was enjoyable. It was fun, a fun summer blockbuster. And why I really liked it, it's a eulogy for the Fox X-Men Marvel universe, which I grew up on 25 years ago, probably. The first X-Men movie, the second X-Men movie were great. Some other ones that came weren't so great, and some came back from being great and then became not so great again. So it's not like I'm sad to see this go, but seeing that eulogy and showing the respect of that whole era of comic book movies, yeah, it put it over the edge to make it into my top 10. A Quiet Place Day One is number 9. I like this movie much more than I was expecting. I think it's probably the best in the series. It surprised me that it's just not back-to-back thrills and chills. It's actually a story with a heart, which kind of surprised me, but doesn't, since it's the same director as Pig. But yeah, it was a pleasant surprise of a horror movie where it was a good year for horror movies, but I think a lot of them fell in the third act, which I'll go into a little bit later. Number 8 will be The Apprentice. Again, I like this much more than I was expecting. I'm not exactly a Trump fan, but if I was looking for a good Scorsese movie this year, or like a throwback to one, it would be The Apprentice. Just the way it was shot, the performances especially. Sebastian Stan, of course, he's doing a pretty decent Trump impression, but I think Jeremy Strong was amazing in this film. I watched this before the election, and now after the election, I think it's become much more relevant now, and definitely worth watching if you're a fan of like old Scorsese movies and such, despite what your opinion of Trump may be. It's a good film. Number 7 is I Saw the TV Glow. If you grew up watching Goosebumps or Are You Afraid of the Dark or any of these like cheesy horror 90s shows, you would definitely appreciate this. It's directed by a trans director, and it is overall about the trans experience, but I think the themes are vague enough that I think anyone can identify with it. I'm not a fan of people trying to imitate David Lynch, some Lynchian stuff, because most of it fails. But for this, I'm like, damn, I think Lynch would be proud after watching this. I think it's just so well directed. And I was afraid after seeing the trailer that it's just going to be so artsy and up its own ass. But it's a fantastic film, and definitely worth watching if you like the Lynch stuff. I know a lot of people don't, but yeah, if you're a David Lynch fan, definitely check out. 6 is Challengers. Yeah, this was quite a movie. It's not as sexy as the trailers make it out to be, but yeah, it's directed by Luca Guadagnino, and usually I'm a big fan of his movies. This is no exception. He came out with another one called Queer, which I haven't seen. And that's a thing with this list, is like there's a ton of movies I haven't seen. But yeah, just the energy behind the direction, the pace of the movie, the love triangle that works. It's just a very great experience, especially with the Trent Reznor, Atticus Ross score. Yeah, if you're not too much of a pearl clutcher, I would recommend watching Challengers. Number 5 is Civil War. Directed by Alex Garland. I wasn't a big fan of Men from Alex Garland, not with the subject matter, but just the story, the script. I was really disappointed with it, but he made a comeback for me with Civil War. Just like gorgeous and brutal in a way, if I can describe this movie. I think people are disappointed because they were expecting an all-out war film, but it's basically just following journalists, and you get to see the war through their perspective, which I thought was fantastic. I probably like this more than I probably should have, because I watched this in Dolby and the audio mixing was just phenomenal. Like one of the best sounding films I've ever heard, and seeing it in Dolby is probably what creaked this to number 5 for me and being in my top 10. But yeah, it's quite an experience in Dolby, and that's why I recommend it. Now, number 4 was a very pleasant surprise, and that is Thelma. I love this movie. I was like caught off guard with how good this movie is. It's about a elderly woman who is scammed online by somebody who pretended to be her grandson, and now she's trying to get that money back. So it's basically Mission Impossible / John Wick movie, but with a 80-year-old lady trying to get her money back. And it sounds like just a straight up comedy, and it is very funny and very clever with how it like the way it's shot. It's like it takes itself so seriously, but it is very funny, but also has some very tender moments and some emotional moments in it too. But yeah, this Thelma, man, it was such a good movie. I think I would recommend this to everyone to watch. It's got a little bit for everyone. It's PG-13. It's not that intense. It's an hour and a half, but fantastic little movie. I love it. Number 3 would be Strange Darling. Yeah, I saw a trailer to this and it was shown in theaters. It just looked like something I would catch on video on demand eventually. But yeah, it's a great movie. I hate to talk too much about it, but after a one night stand, there's a little cat and mouse game between a character called the Demon and another character called the Lady. And there's a lot of twists and turns. It's told in a non-linear fashion. Yeah, the less I say about it, the better. If you like these horror suspense movies, a cat and mouse chase, thriller. It's more of a thriller, I think. But yeah, I highly recommend watching this. I don't want to talk too much about it, since it's very easy to get into spoiler territory with this. But hour and a half long movie, fantastic, shot in 35mm, looks great. Very well acted. It'll just keep you guessing until the end. So watch Strange Darling. Number 2 is The Substance. Just an out there wacky ass movie that I'm surprised got a theatrical release and it did so well. I think people are showing a craving for these original movies like this and Strange Darling. Body horror, love me some body horror, and this does not disappoint. Demi Moore gives probably one of the greatest performances of the year in this. It's just so on the nose that it's almost like a parody of itself, and just well shot. After this and Revenge, anything Coralie Fargeau makes, I'm watching. Yeah, just a fantastic movie. Probably my favorite horror movie of the year, and yeah, it's definitely worth watching. I'll have to watch it again because I feel like I need to on a repeat viewing. So yeah, definitely check it out if you're not too grossed out by body horror. So before number 1, I want to talk about some really good movies that I saw that just didn't make the list for one reason or another. The first would be like Immaculate and The First Omen, very similar movies. I saw the trailers, I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like, these movies look like crap, but then they turn out to be very good. Very similar though, like those twin movies like Volcano and Dante's Peak or something. If I was going to pick one I like better, it's probably Immaculate, but yeah, both are very much worth watching. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes surprised me how well it was. I was a little worried going in with seeing how great the original trilogy is, and this one was just up there, I think, with it. It didn't do very well at the box office, so I'm hoping they can continue this series built on it. This is supposed to be the beginning of a new trilogy. It probably would have made the list if I already didn't have Deadpool and Wolverine and A Quiet Place Day One. I think there's just, to me, like sequel blockbusters. But yeah, I definitely loved it. The performances were fantastic. Story was compelling. So yeah, I hope it continues. I guess we'll see. The Last Stop in Yuma County, I heard about this. It goes with the Strange Darling thing, where it's like these indie directors that are making these throwback indie 90s indie movies, and this is no exception. Last Stop at Yuma County seems like a Tarantino knockoff I would see in the mid 90s, but it's refreshing to see that made now. Would I put it up there with Tarantino? No, but I still had a good time with it. Just like a small scale crime film that has its twist and turn. If you ever see it, it's a short, little thrilling movie. I definitely check it out. Furiosa. I didn't catch this in the theater, so you can blame me. I wasn't even in the country when it came out. But yeah, it bombed at the box office horribly. We're probably not going to get any more of these Mad Max movies, unfortunately. But this was very good. I didn't like it as much as Fury Road, because Fury Road is just a masterpiece in my opinion. But it's a very good companion piece. Definitely worth checking out. It just, same reason, King of the Planet of the Apes, too many blockbusters. I just didn't like it as much as Fury Road. Fury Road is probably close to my favorite movies of last decade. There was a bunch of horror movies that came out, and I had a problem with third act. That'd be Longlegs, Oddity, Cuckoo, Heretic, Smile 2. With Oddity, it's probably not the third act problem with me. I did really enjoy it. Probably the most well-rounded of this group of horror movies. But with the other ones, Longlegs, Cuckoo, Heretic, and Smile 2, I had third act problems with it, even though I think they're overall very good movies, very good horror movies that are definitely worth checking out. Alien Romulus. I'm a big Alien fan, and this didn't make the list. And I thought it would, like seeing the trailer and hearing all about it and the director, but it's just a lot of things holding it back, like a lot of the member berries, like the callbacks from the previous movies, bringing a dead actor and CGIing his face, and yeah, some of it just like very much held it back. I still really enjoyed Alien Romulus for what it was, but a lot of that stuff held it back from being one of my top movies of the year. Azrael, you could see my review for this, a very unique movie. It just didn't make the top 10 for no specific reason, but I didn't include that with the other horror movies because I don't think it had a third act problem. I probably should have included this with Oddity, because Oddity didn't have a third act problem. But yeah, very much worth watching. Yeah, it's unique. It just didn't make the top 10. There's only so many movies. The Order. This probably could have replaced The Apprentice. Maybe a few things holding it back, but very well done crime thriller. Definitely worth checking out, and also very relevant like The Apprentice. And finally, Nosferatu. I haven't done a review on this. I probably will sometime soon. I've been sick. It's the holidays and everything. But yeah, I'm still processing this, and it was just I saw it on Christmas Day with a friend. It was just such a shitty theater experience. I feel like I need to rewatch it. I still did very much like it. I did have a few problems here and there, but goddamn, the theater was wild. I had to tell people to be quiet next to me. Yeah, I might do a solo review of this, but yeah, it just didn't make it quite to the top 10. And my number one movie is Dune Part 2. It's still amazing to me that we're getting such a high sci-fi movie trilogy. They already pretty much announced Dune Messiahs. He's filming that pretty soon. It's so popular. It's making so much money, and it's so well made because we got Denis Villeneuve, who's probably in his prime now, and this is our modern day Lawrence of Arabia right here. This is like peak filmmaking right here to me, and I think it's just going to live on. It's going to be dissected just like the books were, and it's not like a straight adaptation to the second half of the book. There's like a lot of differences, a lot of things that make me look forward to the third movie, because it's not going to follow Messiah exactly like the book because of how different the movie ended and the differences in it. And yeah, Dune Part 2, looking forward to the Dune trilogy. They already announced Dune 4. Denis Villeneuve probably won't return, but that's fine. I like to see some other guy's take on the books after Dune Messiah. So yeah, I just a fantastic movie. I feel like I need to watch it again. I need to watch 1 and 2 back to back again, and then watch them again right before the third movie comes out. Yeah, I love the Dune universe. I love how they made the films so fantastic and make it to where everyone can enjoy them. And yeah, that's my number one of 2024. But let me know what movies I should see. There's so many I haven't seen. I haven't seen The Good Robot. I haven't seen Anora. So this is just my top 10 movies I saw this year. But let me know what your top 10 is. Do you agree with what I put on here? Is there anything you hate that I put on here? Let me know down in the comments. Make sure to hit that like button. It really helps the channel. Make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you later. Hopefully I'm less sick.